when you wake up on a Monday morning and your diary is empty? Do you go back to sleep? It's not a bad option sometimes. Do you say, great, opportunity to play golf? Or C, do you embrace that as an opportunity to do some business planning? Because when I first stood on the beach doing my first triathlon about 5.5 years ago, I had this epiphany standing up on the beach. And what was my epiphany? That I've been reading a book called Blue Ocean Strategies. Anyone read that? Okay. Blue Ocean Strategies talks about finding a blue ocean. And until I stood on that beach about to do a triathlon, I never understood what they were talking about. 84. I was a young 20-year-old white, overprivileged kid who'd grown up in the northern suburbs of Johannesburg. I was asked by Toastmasters to run a course for Rotary Exchange students who were going to go out of the country at the end of 1984 and go around the world, and they had to learn how to speak in public to defend the South Africa of the 1980s. I booked out a camp at Krugersdorp Game Park, and I drove the lead vehicle of 3 vehicles, and as we got to the gate, the gatekeeper, without so much as getting out of his chair, looked through the windows of my vehicle and turned to me and he said, "No blacks allowed. Get out of here now." As a white, overprivileged 20-year-old from the northern suburbs of Johannesburg, that was my first experience of overt racism. But when we get to that step, it's the B. We start building up. We build up the people around us. We build up our relationships. But in order to do that, we have to break down. We have to break down the walls that separate us. We have to break down the bias that people show. And if we can do that, we can build up. We can build up ourselves. We can build up our families. We can build up our communities. We can build up our country. And we can build up the world to a place of diversity and harmony.
A short life story. So I was a cute kid. I thought that was a good place to start. I'll then skip the first 18 years to Vaal Reef's gold mine. How counterintuitive, how countercultural for this heavily defined organization, and the most senior person serves a dress. And that became almost a defining moment in my thinking about business. Because one of my key principles is to never ask staff to do anything I wouldn't do.
So the end result of that is to determine, we started off with a picture of soul searching. We're now saying, where are you going? Where are you setting your moral compass? All right? Where are you making sure that your magnetic north and your true north are aligned in your direction? So we've started this journey today with setting your goals, understanding your processes, and now drawing that moral line in the sand. And so you've come along, and hopefully you're coming along this journey with me, where you've started by setting the goals, understanding the process, and now defining your moral compass.
Companies do you know that put out their vision and their mission that says, our first priority is our customer? No, it isn't. Yes, it is, because you do need customers, otherwise your business goes belly up. But the reality is, without your team, without your people, you're nothing.
And so this was the courage. This pink bandit cap has traveled with me for 5 years now. Why? In December 2012, I was standing on a beach north of Perth, and we have 60 kilometers of gorgeous beaches on the Indian Ocean. And I was standing there in that pink bathing cap, looking like an athlete.
Microphone, there we are. Looking like an athlete. As you can see, I'm built like an athlete. And I was about to start my first triathlon. And I stood on the beach and I suddenly realized that I had never done a swim in the sea. I'd done all my training in the swimming pool, and that's great. There's a black line down the middle. And you swim, and the person ahead of you and the person behind you, you're in a neat, orderly line. And there I was with 100 other so-called athletes in pink bathing caps. And I had this absolute epiphany about life, that you can never be totally prepared. You actually sometimes have to dive in. Sometimes you have to adjust your course while you're going. Sometimes you just have to go, like Richard Branson said, screw it, let's do it. That's kind of what it is. Now obviously you do a lot of preparation. So I had done kilometers in the pool. But at the end of the day, I needed to swim with people kicking me in the head and my feet kicking other people behind me. And that's why today is about diving in.